Hey y'all, very special treat today. Friend of the show, one of my favorite guests to have on. Actually, there's only one other person who I've taped as many actual episodes, even though it was like in like the span of a week.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's
Alexa
awesome.
Ross.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me back. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So Alexa is a Philly native. You actually was it South? You said your mom's from South Philly, or are you from South Philly too?
So my mom is from South Philly, my dad is from the Northeast, and I grew up in Montgomery County and went to Temple and spent my time in the greater Philadelphia area for the first 21 years of my life. And now I'm in Indianapolis. So talk about some culture shock.
Yeah, totally different. Our former quarterback, Carson Wentz, talked about some of that, but it felt like he kind of fit better there.
Oh, for sure. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I have to say about that. No. Here's the thing. People here are really nice. They have a thing called Hoosier hospitality. So everybody is really nice and warm and welcoming. Matt Ryan has actually talked about it quite a bit, who is also a Philadelphia guy. So it's nice to kind of have other people who are local. I've heard him say some words in press conferences where I'm like, oh, I hear your accent. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So we have not connected on that plane yet, but it's really nice to hear an accent every so often.
Yeah, I didn't know Matt Ryan had one. So
I mean, after 14 years in Atlanta, it's not going to be big, but it was like little things, little things. I forget the word that he said.
Water
that I had to put in a package, but I was like, oh my God, it's there. I say it like that too.
It wasn't water, right?
No, it wasn't water. I couldn't put that in a package if I tried. I mean, unless he was getting like it dumped on him or something. I don't know.
So since you were last on, you've been out there riding Indy cars. How's that been?
Oh my God, it was so cool. It was the coolest thing I've ever done, truly. I mean, and I've done a lot of cool stuff, but it was getting in a car and going about, over 150 miles an hour, almost upwards of 175 miles per hour was very, very, very cool.
You got to do a few loops or one, or what was the case?
I did one lap at the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So the Indianapolis Motor Speedway obviously is the big 2.5 mile oval. But inside there's a road course that they race for the Brickyard, as well as IndyCar does a couple races there too. So that was the course that we raced, but I'm already on the list to get on the oval so I can get above 200 miles per hour next May. So cross your fingers, y'all, so I can get in there. But it was, unbelievable. Unfortunately, I didn't ride with Mario Andretti, which would have been like the coolest thing ever. I did ride with Davey Hamilton, who's an old IndyCar driver. Not as cool as Mario, but it was, putting on a fire suit, I've never felt so badass in my life. Like, I was like, this is so cool. And then one of the photographers I know was like, oh my gosh, we have to get a picture of this. It's your first time. And it's like the hardest picture I've ever taken. So we're just holding on to that forever.
Black and orange suit you had on.
Yeah, it was if you're an F1 fan or an IndyCar fan, it's an Aero McLaren suit. I was wearing one of the McLaren fire suits. So very cool. Just super, super cool. A lot of stuff. I'm a little bit more into racing than I would have been before. So it's actually been pretty cool and a nice, interesting, different sport to learn.
So what do they tell you? So what's the tutorial? What's the kind of training? Do they just say, well, good luck, or what's the case?
I wasn't behind the wheel, so I was in a 2-seater. Okay. So you have the driver in front, and then if the car's like this, the driver's like here, and you're like here. But they strap you in across your chest, across your waist, and across your legs. You have a helmet on, the whole thing, and they're like, just hold on. And it was like a roller coaster, but a million times cooler.
What do they say in case you smash out? Like, what are the protocols if you...
So there are things called halos. They're like security. They're like basically, so like if anything were to happen, God forbid, while you're in the car, it catches you. So it's why so many guys can have those like rolling car crashes and be completely fine. Mm-hmm. And that's why, it's all about safety. And I think that's something that I've learned a lot about being around the sport for like the last, back in May and then a little bit more this month. I just learned all about kind of like how safe it is to get in one of these cars. Because they are like, if your steering wheel locks up or if you're starting to sin, they tell you to go in mummy stance as to not hurt your appendages. But I've watched some pretty gnarly crashes. There's a hospital inside the track also.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's called the Infield Care Center. So if every guy who crashes, every person who crashes, they go get evaluated. So like they take it very, very seriously. It's not like our good friends in the NFL evaluate concussions. They really are, they really, really are like, okay, well, if you're not cool to drive, you're not going to drive. So, which is really nice and refreshing because obviously it is something that can be really, really scary.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, guys, Dale Earnhardt, all kinds of folks in high speed racing, obviously not Indy, but
motorsports. I mean, that's the thing. Motorsports it's dangerous. It's really dangerous, but
that's
what do you know? What else is dangerous? Football. Football is also dangerous.
Yes. So jump right into it. How long have guys been practicing out in Indy? Because I know here in not here in Philly, but in Philly, Chris Franklin told me the other day that they did 1 hour and 45, which was like by far the longest.
Oh, you meant practice lengthwise, not like when did they start? Actually, so practices this training camp have been going, they've been wrapping up 5-10 minutes earlier than their regular hour 45 training camp sessions because Matt Ryan is trying to maximize reps. And by maximizing reps, he's just trying to like pick up the tempo of the offense. And Frank Reich is like, in the 5 years that I've been here, by the way, he's had 5 different he's had a whole myriad of starting quarterbacks that he's entered training camp with. He's like, this is by far the fastest that anything has ever moved, which is really, really cool also to see because like Matt Ryan as a dude, as you can imagine, Matty Ice is very cool. As one might imagine after watching him in the league for 14 years, but he is no nonsense work. Truly. Like he is on it. He wants nothing more than to win a Super Bowl and you can just see it. Like it exudes off of him. And I mean, I don't blame him at all. I don't.
Karma's got to get it back. I don't think he's living that foul. That's a difficult way for him to go. That Atlanta versus the Patriots Super Bowl. That's something he thinks about, when he brushes his teeth every day. It's just something.
Oh
that
yeah,
kind of like,
you can't not think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't not. You can't not think about that. So. A lot of this has been kind of putting the pieces together. And that's why they went for a veteran like Matt Ryan. Obviously, the way everything worked out with him in Atlanta lended itself for him to be like, okay, well, I want out. And his first choice in his I want out was the Colts. He was like, I want to be in Indianapolis.
So you said 5. Luck. Was he there? Was right there for no?
No. So the whole thing, there have been 6. Here's the stat. In 6 seasons, there will be 6 starting quarterbacks on opening day. So you have, count them through with me.
Okay.
Matt Ryan. You have Andrew Luck. You have Carson Wentz. We're not going in order, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't care to go in order. Jacoby Brissett.
Rivers.
You have Phillip Rivers, and I'm missing one. And that's what's going to bother me. This is really going to bother me. Well, technically, I'm missing one. This is going to bother me. Okay. Well, like I said, there's a lot that has been going on with this team and the quarterback situation. It's truly like the quarterback carousel runs through Indianapolis. Like that's what it feels like. That's just how it's been looking. So to have a guy who has all of the stuff, it kind of feels like Phillip Rivers, but like Phillip Rivers got an upgrade because Matt Ryan is a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers at this age. I'm not gonna compare their entire careers. It's not worth it. I'm not having that fight. No. I'm saying right now, Matt Ryan is better than what Phillip Rivers was back in 2020. Yeah. I was trying to think of the year.
Before Carson. He was the last quarterback they had before Carson.
Yeah. So it was it was 20, the Phillip Rivers so it was like the Phillip Rivers retirement tour, then it was Carson, and now it's Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan's on a 2-year deal. So hopefully, obviously he has, being a veteran like that, you have the ability to kind of like do what you want. But there is the possibility for him to play next year as well. But we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's like take the field one time. Only one time. He looks great.
This 1 year, one at a time, how's he looking?
He's as advertised. I don't say that often. I mean, Matt Ryan is as advertised. Like I was saying about pushing the tempo of practice. I mean, he is on everybody. It's really fun to watch him and Nick Foles kind of interact with the two younger quarterbacks that they have, Sam Ellinger and Jack Cohn. Because Nick Foles is the chill backup. He's, he's chilling. He's having, he's just happy to be out there. He's happy to be throwing. He's happy to just be, having a time. But Matt is on everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're a rookie or you're a guy who's been there for like 7 seasons. He's on his offensive line too. I mean, he is really trying to make sure that this offense connects. He's constantly talking to people he's constantly with the wide receivers and with the tight ends and, with the linemen and just trying to be like, hey, are we all on the same page? Because if we're not all on the same page, like we are not all in, because everything that I want to do is be dynamic. And he's actually cited Jonathan Taylor as being a big reason for that, is because, they don't have to rely on him, obviously. But they can't, but they actually have a quarterback who could, be consistent. Consistency is the word. And he's a leader. He is a leader, and everyone has bought in. Offense, defense, special teams, coaches, everybody. Everybody is obsessed. And like this goes beyond the people on the field too. Like PR people, media, like everybody is all in on the Matt Ryan train. And like why wouldn't you be? But he is really, really, really fun. And I think that it's going to be a really fun season.
So guys that you talk to, equipment managers, players, coaches, assistant coaches, obviously they can't throw people under the bus. And I'm not asking you to divulge anything that people said off the record. But more openly, do people really, maybe without throwing Carson under the bus, is that how they're going about it? They're just saying, oh, I just love Matt Ryan. I have such excitement about Matt Ryan.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody's like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited with like where this is going. Because, at this time last year, everyone was, everyone's comfortable with Carson. He has his ankle injury. So kind of, everything's kind of a little not the same as what like what a regular training camp would be. So I think that everybody was just kind of like, you know what, let's rally behind this guy. He's a veteran. He's a leader. He's Matt Ryan. I mean, a lot of these young guys grew up watching him play football. A lot of guys who are veterans have played against him. There's, he is so integral to what the NFL has been for so many of these guys, just as a person and as a being. So to be able to work with somebody who is as much of a leader, is as confident, is as, kind of like on his stuff as Matt Ryan has been really, really good for everybody. And everybody's so pleased.
So moving to the team that the former quarterback went to, how do you think number 11 is going to do in Washington?
He might win 2 games. They might win 2 games. I have no idea. I think they're going to be the top pick of the draft. And not in a good way. I think that I don't like to throw the term poverty franchise around a lot, but the Washington Commanders are a poverty franchise. And you laugh because you agree, but it's just, come on, I know. But it's one of those.
It's a funny story. They're like, their practice facility from where I'm sitting right now is not even a 5K from me. So
perfect.
Yeah. So this is the local team here. And it has been, I moved here in 2004. And the entire time they had the couple years with RG3, they had a couple sneak playoff runs or near playoff runs. And they're like, oh, they're coming. The old team name, we're coming. And I always kind of like pity them and like kind of weirdly like, yeah, you guys are going to win. Like, this is your year because
this is our year. Well, and also, with everything else that's been going on with that organization, like, and I'm not just talking about the on-field stuff. I'm talking about the Dan Snyder stuff. I'm talking about everything else. Like, it is just such a dumpster fire where there is also just so much off-field distraction that it's just like, how do you expect to win anything? How do you expect to do anything that like feels, I don't know, like you don't have a winning culture. You can't have a winning culture with the guy who under the leadership, starting up at the top, all the way down to like your guy under center, there's just no leadership at all there. So I just don't
know. Yeah, I don't know why that team goes and gets that guy, Carson, off of the second team who's kicked him to the curb. That's for that organization. That's risky.
Well, and that's why I don't think that it's good. I mean, it's an experiment, and the experiment will probably fail. And I'm not saying I'm rooting for the failure of the Commanders. I'm saying that we as Philadelphia Eagles fans might be able to benefit from it, and we'll just have to see what happens.
We will.
I mean,
we will. We're at least at the worst splitting. At the worst are going to split. And that's why I never really, I can't bring myself to like really actively, like I can cheer against the Giants happily.
Yeah.
I can cheer against the Cowboys happily. I mean, more than happily, like religiously. But
like it's the only thing I care about, actually. My entire life is surrounded by 2 days that happen sometime in the fall and winter. I gotcha.
It's Christmas this year, by the way. Christmas Eve.
I know. I'm so excited. Oh
man! And then they got the game before in back in Philly before the Mummers Parade, so that's going to be a hoot. So
always.
So you think that your 2 wins is what you're
I think they definitely can. I think they can definitely get 2 wins. There will definitely be 2. I believe in them enough to win 2 games. I'm not saying we're having like they're going to have like a winless parade the way the Browns did. Like, I don't think we're doing that, but I do think it's going to be pretty ugly. And I think that we all should just kind of brace ourselves for ugly. I think it's not going to be great.
I mean, the reports, it is training camp, by the way. So for everybody who reads this stuff about it's fun and important. The videos are cool. Seeing Trayvon Diggs get cooked. It is training camp, but the early reports are saying that Carson has been pretty bad. Like people get all crazy about Jalen Hurts, but Carson has been, if you read what the Commanders reporters
listen, I have been retweeting that stuff just because it's like it appeals to one half of my audience and then the other half of my audience. Like it's just like, we have this like hating Carson Wentz. Like that's like where we're at right now, and that's just kind of how we feel.
It's the emoji.
The handshake emoji. Yes, the handshake emoji in the yellow, so we can sub in all of our friends. Yes. So all of our friends can feel represented in our nondescript emoji.
Yes.
In our nondescript handshake emoji.
Simpsons colored emojis.
Oh yeah, which I love. I think that's so funny to me. But anyway, that's not the point. But you look at that and then you hear the stuff about Matt Ryan and you see some of the stuff that's happened, and like you'll see my videos and other people's videos, and it's like it's truly night and day. Like it is night and day. I have not seen a real interception in 11-on-11 or red zone play. Like I have not seen that. Obviously it's different in one-on-ones because you're right. One-on-ones are different. Whatever. Right. That's completely different. But I have yet to see one when I've been there. I'm talking about for when I've been there. My off days are Wednesdays and Thursdays, so I'm not at camp on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But when I have been there, I have not seen it. And it's been
single interception. That's impressive because
I'm sure there have been. But here's the thing. There are also 3 different fields where different things are happening. So I also float along the sideline. So I won't always be in like it depends on where I'm standing for 11-on-11s too, because like I'm sure there's stuff that I miss because there are guys who are, backs to me or just the way a play's running out. So, I mean, but that's my thing is that I'm sure they've happened. You can't be perfect. Nobody is, but he's had a really, 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 really good training camp, a very good training camp.
So a guy who I actually who made a transition from college basketball to NFL football is actually a guy I went to college with. Like
I love him. I love him. He's so great.
Classes and such, but and he seemed like just a physical specimen. I always thought he would be a good watching him play. It was an amazing atmosphere. If anybody watched VCU basketball at that time, obviously I'm just talking about Mo Alley Cox. Do you think that Matt Ryan's arrival will kind of give him an opportunity to really kind of stabilize and become that? Because he has a splash play here, there every season, but consistent, just good tight end play. Do you think that happens?
So it's funny you ask me about this, because the more I've been thinking about it, the more I've been thinking about that group. So this year they have two rookie tight ends. One of them is 6'7" Jelani Woods, and the other is 6'5" Drew Ogletree. Wally Cox, also 6'5". And the shortest is Kyle Granson, 6'2". All of these guys are a physical mismatch to anybody who's on them. But because of that, they have size on their side. It completely depends on what Frank Reich is going to run, because they have been showing a lot of comfort and confidence in Michael Pittman Jr. They have been showing that confidence. I have watched one-on-ones, Stephon Gilmore and Mo Alley Cox. Like, he has been taking those first team reps, which obviously he is first team right now. Drew Ogletree is rising up to be that second, but I think they're just really trying to make their offense as dynamic as possible, because they know that, you're going to have people who are, double coverage on Michael Pittman Jr. Like, we'll be seeing that a lot. Obviously, people are going to try and shut down Jonathan Taylor. These are not new or different things. So I'm interested to see the way the tight ends are integrated this season, because they were so sparingly used last year. But now that there is a much more accurate quarterback, you can have them really step up and take that role and take some of the pressure off of the receiving core, which is also now very, very young. Michael Pittman Jr. is the oldest in the receiving room, and he's been here for 3 years.
And it seems like to me you're hinting at, from X's and O's point of view, is it's possible that we may see some one receiver, 3 tight end looks or something that this year.
Absolutely. It would not surprise me in the slightest. We are going to see formations that I don't think this team has seen in a couple seasons, just because of what they're able to do with this tight end group. It is so rare that you get all of this going with a group that is 6'2" or taller.
I mean, and 6'2" is not a small. That's still a mismatch on pretty much any corner in the league.
Yeah. So when you have 6'5" and 6'7" as your mismatch,
it's ridiculous.
I mean, they are. When I saw Jelani Woods in person, I was like, "You are the biggest person I've ever seen in my life." And watching these guys, it is unbelievable. There was a almost very scary collision with Stephon Gilmore and Mo Alley Cox. I mean, Mo Alley Cox will knock the wind out of anybody. Yes. Like, he came down on Gilmore, and Gilmore didn't get up for a second. And then he got himself up, and apparently Mo, maybe had something with his ankle. They had him sit out. They both practiced the next time that there was practice. So everything is fine. But, that's that mismatch, especially against a former defensive player of the year. I mean, to kind of see that happen, to go up and win, it shows that it is very, very possible.
I hope for it, because obviously, same alma mater and all that, but he seems like it should click. It's nothing like a Jalen Reagor situation where it's like the team should be making a plan to get him out of there. The Colts should keep him, because
he got an extension. He signed an extension, so he's here for another 3 years. He
did sign an extension.
He signed it. Little extension, but it's there. So, they want him to be a playmaker for them. And I think that this tight end group wants to be utilized however possible, just because everyone has bought in so hard on Matt Ryan that really nobody cares how they're utilized. Nobody. Naeem Hines has talked about, I'll play receiver. I'll line up at the slot. I don't care. I can do that. These are all things that can be done. Whereas especially when you have a guy like Jonathan, last season, so much reliance on Jonathan Taylor, over 1,800 yards. That's a lot. He was the league's leading rusher for a great reason. And a lot of that had to be with his not awesome quarterback. Like, a lot of that workload was thrown on him. But now you can kind of shake things up, get Naeem in, because Naeem Hines is, I mean, he's great. He's great. He's a really good running back, and he's super versatile.
Yes, he is.
So it's going to be really interesting. And it's been really interesting to see both of them line up and, you know, have the ball not go to Jonathan, have it be thrown up and over to Naeem.
And back to the Mo Alley Cox thing, that also helps your running game too. If you can go
absolutely.
2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, 3 huge tight ends down closer to the red zone and the goal line, you get a mass of bodies in there.
Yeah, I mean, JT is small. Naeem is small. But Jonathan Taylor is a wrecking ball. I mean, truly, he's an absolute, I mean, he can just, I mean, and people will throw him over the goal line. I have watched the Colts offensive line do that. I mean, they're not, like, they will happily push him over. I just pushed the mic over.
Like Quentin Nelson does for Naeem.
For JT, just like, you know, the whole thing, the nice little boost. And it's been, you know, obviously I love Jonathan. I think that, and have been on record on other podcasts, I might have been record on this podcast saying, if you're going to draft somebody, do not draft Christian McCaffrey number 1 overall.
No.
Like, don't do it.
No.
And I honestly, I'm a little hesitant on Derrick Henry now because of that injury. Yes. Like, I think that Jonathan Taylor should be taken top 3 in every fantasy football league this year.
I don't even know who the Titans' top receiving threat. They've lost Julio. They've lost A.J. Brown. So people are going to put 8 in the box against Derrick Henry all day. So I'm not taking Derrick Henry in the first round. Or even if he's sitting there as my second pick, I'm afraid of that. And I think he's a fantastic player, but the situation around you matters a lot.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that Jonathan Taylor is still going to get a ton of touches. Like, that's nothing new. I mean, especially if they, against teams that have bad run blocking, I mean, they're just going to let him fly because he will go, you know, 69 yards, 72 yards, 53 yards. Like, he does. I mean, because he'll just take off. He had 2 of the fastest runs by a running back last season. And guess what? They were both touchdowns. So it's not hard to do. He's incredible. He's still going to get the touches. I still think that he absolutely should be utilized because Michael Pittman Jr., though he and Matt Ryan are getting very, very comfortable, they are getting really comfortable together. Early on, be a lot of JT. So we'll see.
So you brought up Michael Pittman. That was the next thing I was going to ask you about. Do you think that he gets more receiving yards this year, or does Devontae Smith from Philly?
Devontae Smith will surpass for sure. I mean, I think when you have that connection, the way that Devontae and Jalen do, I mean, that's money. It's shown to be money. I think that we're just going to have to sit back, watch, and enjoy. I mean, obviously, when you have A.J. Brown, it's going to, you know, that if we were to talk about this pre-acquisition of A.J. Brown, I'd be like, oh, yeah, wide out 1 for sure. Yes. A.J. Brown is now put into the equation. I still think, though, that, you know, when you have double coverage on A.J. Brown, which you absolutely will, Devontae Smith is an incredible option to have open.
Yes.
But for that reason, I also don't think that Michael Pittman is going to be, I mean, he's getting more comfortable and he is wide receiver 1. I hesitate to say that he'll have more yards at the end of the year than Devontae Smith. Also, Devontae is such a great deep threat.
Yes.
Whereas Michael Pittman, like, I mean, he can catch it, but he hasn't had a quarterback besides Phillip Rivers when he was a rookie to be the one to throw to him deep. You know, he was often over or underthrown by Carson. So it's really hard to say what he looks like now that he's really put the work in and like kind of grown into his ability, because you can only tell so much from 11 on 11.
So last year, despite having the league's best rushing attack, the Philadelphia Eagles running back Miles Sanders did not score a single touchdown, And actually, I checked the stats today, and Jonathan Taylor's yardage total was significantly higher than both Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell, number 2, combined. Do you think that this year the Eagles running backs, with more use of Nyheim Hines, with more passing from a quarterback who, is a leader and understands routes and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely.
So do you think that the Eagles running backs surpass Jonathan Taylor alone, or do you think Jonathan Taylor still outproduces both of them on the ground?
I still think Jonathan Taylor outproduces both of them. I think that the acquisition of AJ Brown really solidifies that. I mean, I think I think it's going to be an air raid. It's just going to be air raid offense, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But I don't think that these guys are going to get utilized nearly as much as they would have before. I think they'll be clutch in red zone situations, especially with what the offensive line is looking like. I think that it's going to be a much better situation in that way. I think it'll be a lot better than last year. I don't think that it's going to surpass Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor can repeat as the rushing record. I do.
I believe so as well. Yeah. I saw a Eagles beat writer today say, if practice is any indication that that AJ Brown is going to have 200 targets this year, that's amazing. That's a lot of targets. You're talking kind of Cooper Kupp area. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like that's like offensive player of the year territory when you're being consistent. I mean, you're going to get the looks because you're going to have the conversation because you're going to be getting all of the opportunity to do so. So I don't know. I mean, I think that we'll see. I think as much as we all want to be like run game, we're still not going to get the run game that that we've been like screaming for. And that's okay.
Yeah. Especially if touchdowns all that matters. I mean, that's
for sure. Absolutely.
So do you think
please,
Miles Sanders will actually take that next step, or is this the end of the road for Miles Sanders in Philly?
I think he can take that next step. I think that he's now being I think that now he can kind of come into his own. I think that as Jalen is coming into his own, the people around him who are also younger are starting to come into their own. I think that the offensive line looks a lot more conducive to producing red zone efforts for the running back. So I think that I'm looking forward to it either way. And I'm excited to watch it all come together here in November when the Colts and the Eagles play. Like, I'm really looking forward to that game. And not just because my entire family is coming, but because I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see, a young guy like Jalen Hurts, an older guy like Matt Ryan, Stephon Gilmore covering a guy like AJ Brown. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really, really fun.
What's the experience like at Lucas Oil Stadium compared to the Link?
Okay, so Lucas Oil is a dome. It has a roof. So it's
retractable
loud.
Though, right?
It is retractable, and there's like a retractable window that looks over downtown. It's gorgeous. I think it looks like what did I say that it looked like the other day? Some kind of like house. It like kind of looks like a house. And
a pretty large house, I would say.
A very large house. But it's there. So it's steeper than the Link is.
Okay.
Think kind of like how the Vet was really stacked on top of itself.
Yes.
It's kind of like that with a roof. Okay. So it's really, really loud to the point of where if you're on the field versus in the press box, you don't hear much in the press box because they have some thick windows up there, and it's really high up, like very high up, as opposed to the press box at the Link not being as such. But it gets really, really loud in there, and it's gonna be, they get loud. They have, all the lights, they have the pyro, they have all of, everything you could want in your stadium experience. And Colts fans show out. Obviously Eagles fans travel. That's not even remotely a question. But I think that it'll be interesting because we don't play a lot of teams with roofs, and domes, and stuff like that. So obviously conditions will be great. But like, it's in Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different, like Jerry World and Lucas Oil are like, so different.
Totally different. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how I'm excited. I'm just excited to be around it and see how it goes.
It'll be a consequential games during that period of the year. You get around Thanksgiving. All of those games matter. So it'll be a consequential game regardless. I think it'll be two teams who are very much in the playoff hunt. So it's going to be good football. 11/20, I think.
Easy.
November 20th.
It's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. I believe it is. I believe it's the 20th. Thanksgiving being on a different number day every year really messes with me. I can't do it. It upsets me greatly. I know that for some people it's cool. For me, no.
It's like one of those like election day things. It's like you got to track. They say it's the first Tuesday in November, so every year doesn't matter. It's
it's like different. It could be November 1st or like November 10th. Like it doesn't, doesn't matter.
Right.
And it's just happening? Like, okay, this is arbitrary and stupid, but I understand why we're doing it. But it is, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really loud. I think that we're going to have a lot of fun stuff. I'm really excited to see this defensive line is really starting to mesh as well. There are some really good edge rushers in Kwity Paye and Dio Diengbo. And, it's been, and then obviously when you have a guy like DeForest Buckner, who is, Shaquille Leonard, for the artist formerly known as Darius, everybody, and the fact that we haven't seen Shaq out at all because he had a back surgery. And last year he had, oh my God, I think it was 53 tackles with like a bum ankle. And that bum ankle was the result of a nerve in his back not firing. So he just got that back surgery. So I think we'll actually see what full force Shaquille Leonard looks like. And I think it's going to be really, really scary.
The artist formerly known as Darius Leonard was, I think, at that time, the best linebacker in the league. You got Wagner. Of course. I don't know. Darius Leonard was on another level.
And he was doing this truly in so much pain all the time. We would ask him every single time, like, how's your leg? How's your foot? How's your foot? How's your foot? How's your calf? How's your ankle? Like all of this stuff was like, all of these lower body, like lower leg issues were because of this like one random nerve in his back. So they're trying to get him back by the beginning of training camp. Or by the end of training camp, excuse me. So hopefully we'll get to see him in action. If not, don't think for a second that he's not going to be absolutely ready to go bananas in Houston.
Week 1.
Week 1 in Houston. Week 2 in Jacksonville. 2 games that you should win.
Oh,
but the Colts,
come on.
The Colts haven't won a preseason game. Or sorry, not a preseason game. A season opening game. It's been a little bit. And they play bad teams. And also they haven't won in Jacksonville in I think 7 years on the road.
And that is a house of horrors. This team, the Colts, are going to be rearing to go. I think I would pretty much lock that. I know that they're going to have to exercise some demons, and that's the kind of thing that can kind of galvanize a team. We got to go back down there and handle our business because you and I know what we're talking about. But for the listeners, we're talking about the Carson Stinker, the all-time embarrassment of just pro football. You got to beat Jacksonville in the playoffs.
I got to listen to, and I'm not defending Carson. I'm just saying it was a whole team effort to be that bad. Like you don't make Trevor Lawrence look like Peyton Manning as Carson Wentz. Like there's a lot of other stuff that went into that, and it was bad. It was just like the worst display of football I have ever seen in my life. And I've watched some, and I went to Temple. Like I watched bad football a lot. Like that was the worst football.
And I went to Temple. That's terrible.
I went to Temple during the good years. The younger kids who are listening at home, they know what's going on. And then the older kids listening at home, they also know. But Matt Rule's also on the hot seat, man. It's just, Temple football. It's Temple South is really needs to get it together. So he has so many. There's so many Temple players on that team. The Panthers have so many Temple players. It's wild.
So for the Colts, what game do you think is a potential trap game for the Colts, and what game is the game where you're kind of looking at right here that they'll kind of announce themselves and show us who they are?
I think they're going to announce who they are season opener week 3 against the Chiefs, because this is not the Chiefs of the past. This
Hot
Chiefs
take.
team is
okay.
This Chiefs team, I don't think is going to be as nearly as good as. I mean, obviously you lost Tyreek Hill. I mean, that's like that's a big thing. That's a massive hit to Patrick Mahomes. Your entire offense looks different. Like it's, obviously Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends in the league. You can rely on Travis Kelce, but Travis Kelce can't be everything. And what are you going to do? You can't give it to, oh my God, why am I blanking on his name?
Hardman.
Yeah. Why? Like you can't, I was like, what is his name? Where is he? Yeah. You cannot rely on him. He had the ability to do so and didn't. Like he didn't break out. Obviously he has a much bigger role. I've been following my friends who cover Kansas City and it just feels very, it's, and the AFC is hard. The AFC is very, very hard. And that's not news to anyone at all.
You sounded like you don't feel too confident about going into Jacksonville. You think that they're going to be,
I think
week
that
2 might be scary.
I think every game against Jacksonville is a trap. I mean, like, listen, anytime you're in Jacksonville or not playing at home, it's a trap game. I'm pulling up the Colts schedule again because I did have another one circled where I was like, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
But I do want to pull it up, but I want to like physically look at it.
Yeah.
I think that I do think a trap game could be Colts at Titans as well because they play the Titans twice in 4 weeks.
Okay.
I think that could be really tough on them. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill's offense, what is it? It's not there. He has Derrick Henry and that's it.
Yeah.
But I do think, there's a little bit of an Achilles heel there with the Titans. I think that's a very valid possibility. They play the Cowboys too. I'm interested for the Cowboys game. I'm interested. I'm not saying it's going to be good and I don't know who it's going to be bad for. I just don't think that it's going to be.
What do you make of the Cowboys this year? I didn't plan to ask you that. What do you think about the Cowboys?
What do you think about the Cowboys this year?
What do I think about? Put it back to me. I think that the Cowboys. If you said, Matt, I'll give you $1 million, but you got to bet it. You have to bet it. The Cowboys make the playoffs. The Cowboys don't make the playoffs. I don't think this Cowboy team makes the playoffs.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm at. I think it's like they're fine. I think it's just like a constant state of mediocrity. But I do think that could be trap game material, especially in Jerry World in prime time.
They'll be good. They'll be good enough to continue to give the Cowboys faithful reasons to be annoying as hell.
Yes. but they always are. Like they're so annoying. Oh my God. Anyway, no, but I think that also could be trap game territory too. I don't think that they'll play super down. So my trap game thoughts outside of the divisional games, because that's kind of a
yes, always.
That's kind of like I can't just say that. So I think I'm going to go with the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
That's my trap game.
When do they play the Cowboys?
Sunday Night Football on December 4th.
Okay. It's later in the season.
Later in the season, Sunday Night Football. All eyes on them. And it's not, they have a handful of primetime games. They play the Broncos on Thursday Night Football. Like it's not like they're not playing in primetime at all. I just think that Jerry World in primetime is a different kind of place.
It's also a confusing color palette situation there with the Colts playing the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to figure that out, but that's somebody else's job to figure that part out.
There's just going to be a lot of blue. Colts blue is brighter blue. So they at least have that going for them. Maybe it'll confuse the Cowboys. Hopefully someone's colorblind. I don't know.
Yes.
Hopefully. Maybe Dak Prescott's colorblind. Dak Prescott's colorblind. I'm just going to start that rumor now. No, I don't know. But I don't know. No, I don't think he's colorblind. Maybe he is. I don't know. And if he is, sorry, man.
Someone should look into that.
Yeah, can somebody fact check if anyone on the Cowboys is colorblind?
So what are you thinking about Jalen? Jalen Hurts, of course, not Rager. I try to stay away from Rager because I
don't even want to talk about him. I don't even want to think about him. I don't think about him. He does not exist in my mind. He is not. No, none of it. I want zero to do with that. I'm excited for Jalen Hurts. I am. I think that the AJ Brown, I keep bringing up the AJ Brown acquisition, but it's like one of the best offseason moves that the Eagles have made in quite some time.
Absolutely.
I think that that's one of like the best things that Howie Roseman has done in a couple years.
The guy looks like a running back, a tall running back.
Yeah. Well,
like jacked.
I mean, Devontae's a little skinny, so it's definitely a nice little difference. Devontae, here's the thing about Devontae. If you saw him on the street, would you know if he was would you know he's a football player?
Just now, this season, I've thought about that. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Last year, no. Last year, I'd be like, you're just some dude, man. I don't know who you are.
Right. And he's like really good. Like he was really good in college as like basically skin and bone.
Which is fascinating to me. It's fascinating.
Right. I guess Jerry Rice wasn't a big guy, and he was amazing. So
you have a point.
So
no, I'm looking forward to it. I think that he's being given the tools and like to succeed. So I think that helps. I think obviously so many people are just, there's so much buzz about this team. The expectations are so high, which can obviously be really hard on someone who's so young. But I think that they're not setting him up to fail. I think that sometimes you can have high expectations, but be like, I don't know about this guy, or I don't know about this receiving core. I don't know about, XYZ, whatever. I think that the expectations generally are very, very, very high for this Eagles team. And I think that there are ways that it can be met. And I think that the offense is looking 2017-esque.
So it's all a spectrum, and we're Eagles fans. So some days, just to keep ourselves grounded.
I'm dramatic. Right? It's fine. I know that.
We're all dramatic. We're dramatic. We got to be self-aware. So some days you wake up and you're like, this is going to be a terrible season. This is my anchor. I'm not going to go any lower than this. And then on the other end of the spectrum, like your exceedingly high expectations. How low can this season go, and how high for you?
I mean, I think the sky's the limit. I think that this season goes as far as Jalen is willing to take them, or is able to. Not willing, because I know he wants to win. I mean,
more than willing.
He is the next recipient of the Bryce Harper Pandering Award, and I love it. Yes. I love pandering. Pander always. I am cool with you pandering.
Yes.
And I think he genuinely cares. And I think he genuinely wants to be good. And I think he's genuinely happy to be back out there. It's not like a Tua situation where you're like, well, you're on the chopping block and everything is relying on you. And you have it, it's second season with Sirianni. You have, where the foundation has been laid. And I think that with that, the flower can grow. If we remember that. If we remember
very much. And the flower,
if we remember
is
that. I think that the flower is blooming, and I think that the bush, it's actually become a bush of flowers. And I think that we now have a beautiful butterfly bush, and that butterfly bush is gorgeous. And we are the butterflies who feed on the butterfly bush. And I think that we need it to survive. But obviously, I'm not
Alexa,
dramatic.
The philosopher has come out this evening. Just
honestly, I need another degree in philosophy.
Like Will Smith on Fresh Prince. It was Raphael de la Ghetto. This is Alexa de la Ghetto.
Unbelievable. No, I do think that it's just going to be about as far as Jalen Hurts is able to take them. And I don't think it has anything. I think Nick Sirianni has really kind of like solidified himself and has really been able to like get everyone to buy in. And I think that most of us have bought in on Nick Sirianni. And if you haven't, then like, I don't know, go touch grass. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Right. He's a good dude, and he genuinely like you saw what they did in the back half of the season when he was like, he used the flower metaphor and then they became the flower. Like
they did.
I don't know how that happens.
Right.
But
we saw a first little sprout in Denver when they went and blew out the Broncos. That was like, whoa, okay. Because that was a turning point. That was after they gotten completely cooked by the Raiders. And I was willing to jump. I was ready to jump. I was like, I might not watch the rest of course I was, but I said it that I wasn't going to watch the rest of the season. I
say that every time they play. I'm like, I'm never watching this team again. I don't care. which is a lot easier than like when I say it about the Sixers, because the Sixers play so many times. NBA season is long, man. It is long and it is hard. That's not what this podcast is about, though. That's not what
it's speaking of other Phillies teams, the Phillies are on an absolute heater right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Give Rob Thompson the key to the city. Honestly, I don't know what else to say. Nick Castellanos, shout out to Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson for breaking up, for allowing Nick Castellanos to come into his own.
Is that what happened? I didn't know this.
Yeah, they broke up, and then like 20 minutes later, he hit the 2-run homer last night.
Wait, so Nick Castellanos is dating Kim Kardashian?
No, I'm saying maybe. Yeah, honestly, no, maybe. I don't know. Call me.
More fake news from Alexa.
No, but I just, I think obviously it was June Schwarber into July Schwarber.
Yes.
But now they wanted big bats and we're getting big bats. Like, I don't know what the score is right now. This is Thursday night. It was 9-0. A 6. Yeah, it was 6-0 in the first inning. The first inning against the Nationals. Like, what? I'm loving it. I'm ready for a parade. Honestly, if I keep getting Phillies championships, fine. Mm-hmm. Fine. I'll take World Series rings. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with going and doing that parade however many more times. I did it when I was in 7th grade. I'll do it a million more times. I do not care. I don't care.
As an Eagles fan, to be honest with you, Alexa, watching all of those NFC Championship losses really demoralizing. I
don't care anymore. I mean, I do care. I care a lot. Let me rephrase that. When they were playing the Vikings at home in the NFC Championship, I was like, they're going to lose because that's what the Eagles do. The Eagles lose in the NFC Championship, and it does not matter. Like, I don't care. Like, I will not root for them. Not that I won't root for them, but I will actively be like aware and ready for a loss. Like, it's just NFC Championships mean losses, and that's whatever, man. Like,
I resign myself to the fact that the idea that I was never going to watch the Eagles actually win the Super Bowl. Like, until even after it happened and the ball was like laying on the ground next to Rob Gronkowski in the Patriots Super Bowl, I was still like, this isn't real. Like, we're not going to win.
I didn't celebrate. I did not celebrate or react until the clock hit 0. Like, I'm not going to tell this story again. I've told this story a million times. I'm not doing it again. But when I was in South Korea watching it, I was like white knuckling a ginger ale bottle. Mm-hmm. And like, just like, I felt like I was out of my body. I was like, they're going to lose this game. Like, it was just like everyone there was in Patriots colors. And then there was me. And I was like, they're going to lose this game. Like, I was just like, it's out of my control. And it's fine, and I'm going to be sick to my stomach, but whatever it is, what it is. So obviously that did not happen, but I am very excited for those Philadelphia.
The sky's the limit. So you're not thinking like that. Then you're thinking
I'm thinking. Listen,
I'm supposed to win it all. You think so? Not saying you think we will.
I think they're absolutely going
to cards.
I think they're absolutely. It depends on when they get hot. I think that it's going to be like a Bengals situation where like the Bengals were very good. They were not the best team in the AFC, but they got hot at the right time and they beat the right people. And that's what mattered. That is what mattered. And that's why the Bengals got in the Super Bowl.
Well,
and I'm a Joe Burrow apologist. Like, I love that man. Joe Burrow, call me. If you're listening, call me. I think he has a girlfriend too. That's a shame, but whatever. Call me. But I think that, they really started to get hot as the season wound down. And then, so when it came into playoffs, they had all the momentum in the world. Because for them, it was like, oh, we didn't, who knew we'd get this far? So let's just go.
Okay. If it's what you say, I love it. So I'm not gonna fight you. I will be white knuckling something.
I love to white knuckle something. I love white knuckling of your beverage of choice. I think that it's really healthy to do.
It is,
especially while you're watching sporting event. Like that's why people have stress balls. And I always am like, who uses stress balls? Why do you need stress balls? For when your team's playing in the Super Bowl. That's why you need stress balls. Everyone go buy stress balls.
So funny. At my day job, people give me those like all the time. I have like 80,000 of these things. They're like, I love my drawers.
My dad used to get them all the time when I was younger from conferences and stuff. And I was like, what am I going to do with these? And now I'm like, I need all of them back.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you have an anxiety disorder and you're a sports fan.
Yes. Healthy, reasonable combo.
This is going off the rails. I'm really going off the rails right now. It's not Thursday. It's not Thursday. It's Saturday. I don't know why this computer is reading that it's Thursday. It is Saturday night. I know earlier I said Thursday. I'm sorry. I just realized that.
I don't timestamp.
9 o'clock, Saturday, August 6th. There you go.
Well, Alexa, thank you so much for coming on again. Thank you all the people for listening to Alexa and I chit chat. The numbers don't lie. People who listen to the show, they like listen to this one and then they listen again. So whatever you're on. So it's really exciting to have you on. It's really cool to see all the stuff you're doing out in Indy. Tell the people where we can keep following along and showing you support.
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me on Twitter at Alexa Ross TV. It's going to be a lot of training camp stuff from here on out. I will be traveling with the team, but I will be traveling to Buffalo for that first preseason game. So I will have all of that in-game action for Matt Ryan's first time taking the field. Frank Reich actually said today that they will be on a play count that's a little bit higher than in years past. So just because kind of new defensive scheme, new quarterback, all those things. So you're going to see a little bit more Matt Ryan than some people might be comfortable with, but that's okay.
Fingers crossed on health. Nobody wants to see people that to be the way somebody doesn't succeed during the season. So I know
people who abolish preseason. That's another
bing.
That's another one. But like, who am I to?
You're somebody with a voice.
Abolish preseason. Listen, that's the newest cause, and I have a lot of them, and abolish preseason is one of them.
Well, I will retweet everything you say from here on out, Alexa, that says abolish preseason.
I just don't. I don't get it, man. I get it for the younger guys and for the guys who need who need the time, but like no starter should be playing. Like at the
televised joint practices.
We have joint practice 2 weeks from now with the 2 weeks from now with with the Lions. So, which is always fun because I'm really good friends with their team reporter. So, and I'm excited to see Aiden Hutchinson in the flesh. So,
and you get to spy on the Eagles' Week 1 opponent. Well, not spy, but watch them play.
And I can report back on that too because I'm very interested. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson's a monster. I mean, and everything I'm hearing out of Detroit is that he is
the truth.
Yeah, he is the truth, and it worked out pretty much as well as it could have gone for the Lions with that number 2 pick. Obviously, you want to be
got to take them seriously. Week 1, Campbell said he's going to bite people and all that if he needs to. So, watch out.
Aiden Hutchinson, I think, could kill someone.
Yes,
I do, and I have friends who've worked around the Michigan program too, at Michigan, and we're like, he's like the greatest kid ever, but he is like a monster on the field. So you got to be able to turn it on and turn it off.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, thank you so much for listening. Of course, I'm Matt Rogers, POLITIDOPE, and thank you all for listening. See ya.